Pretty tough one. Oh, I see. They blocked that. Okay, I see what happened. I was trying to figure out where the heck I went, because they were blocking that exit because of the... Anyway, it's kind of weird. It's hard to describe. That exit immediately got blocked, so... Hey, members of Barclay Bank, would you stop calling me? You'll get your money back. Just be patient. Thanks. Sorry, I used Barclay, which is an Uber card back in the day. They keep calling me, and it's like, I paid them for nearly 4.5 years, never paid it off. It's one little payment. It's like they call every 3 hours. It's like they're gonna get their money. My goodness, don't panic. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm listening to 17 Seconds, and Robert Smith is singing about a forest, and he says over into the trees, creates this image of entering into a forest as the first part of the story. It's not the first song on 17 Seconds album, but it's definitely the highlight and one of their #1 hit singles. There goes Spirit right there. It's a yellow one. It's an interesting character because he's kind of mystical, although he did have, not the most perfect life, but he's a very interesting kind of person. Anyway, the whole story behind him was that he almost did not create the demo that made him famous. And at the last minute, because of unemployment, he decided to make the demo. And it got into good hands. They saw the talent in Robert Smith, and The Cure took off. He fired most of all the guitar players from then on in. Not all of them, but a few of them. Because he had an idea about music. That's what was different about him. He wasn't just trying to only make money, although he made a tremendous amount. But he had an idea, about writing music and composing music and being a musician and telling a story. And he was very careful about how things were presented. In a very certain way, a very specific auteur kind of guy. All right, so down this way and a little bit over there. cleanup on Terminal E4. All cleanup. It's juice or something. All right, through here and a little bit over there in the second tier in the back. Well, believe it or not, they were Mainers. So it's the state of Maine trying to call me back. They went to some bay place, I don't know. There's a military truck right there. Some place in Maine that has the name Bay on it. I couldn't really hear them that much because I spent too much time working at hardwood, losing my right ear hearing. I wasn't losing my right ear, but I was losing my hearing in my right ear. So one of the reasons why I had to leave. But yeah, they're from Maine. Well, they're not from Maine. They are from Texas, but I told them about the book, Escape from Maine, that I was inspired to write after a couple of winters in Maine, and told them that I was working on a screenplay too about the same title. They thought it was funny. I told them about Bert Shavitz, the owner of Burt Bees, and living next door. I'm pretty much planning my escape from Maine. But I told them, you know, because they mentioned they were visiting some, I guess, friends or relatives that were retired. And I told them, you know, if I retired, it might be a different story, because it may be a good place to retire. But when it comes to working, it's, to me, the hardest place I ever worked in because of, you know, well, because of blizzards and getting up and snow shoveling. I do miss some of it, but I don't think I would have lasted that long. I think Mainers have a special thing in their blood. They can deal with it. I guess because of the stress, I would have wore myself out really quick. Now, I'm getting some grays in my hair, but I probably would have nothing but silver hair right now if I still lived in Maine. It would be like completely silver. That's probably like a silver mustache and a silver beard. Anyway, they thought it was a funny idea, escape from Maine. But they did. They escaped from Maine, and they're back here in Texas at their hometown flower mound. A lot of flowers here, as you can see. Some flower in that tree right there, and some flowers over this way. But I've done a lot of delivery, Grubhub and Flower Mound. That's where I used to go and pray and hope to get one little order. Let me tell you something about these food apps and delivery. Don't worry. You just turn it on, you'll get stuff. You just have to be patient. If you don't have patience, it doesn't work. But we're probably gonna head back to see Kitty and check on Linda. Since we've had a full day, 5 hours work, well, 5 hours of waiting at a brake shop, and I only paid like half the bill. Luckily, because of liability, they had to let me go. I don't know. Maine is still a mysterious place. I talked about Stephen King. I said, all Stephen King does is sit around and write, and then do a little bit of walking. I say, well, where does he live? I said, well, he's at Bangor. He lives in, some people call it Bangor. And it's West 47th Broadway in Bangor, Maine. Yep, that's where he lives. And West 47th Broadway in Bangor, Maine. And I said, I've been to his place a couple times. I never met him. But I've heard that he keeps up with the community. And at the time, I was more concerned with what was going on with Bert Shavitz of Bert Beast, because they were making a documentary, and Isabella Rossellini, the ex-wife of David Lynch, she had signed a contract with Bert, so you couldn't videotape him. He'd get in trouble for that, or they could because of footage. So I was only able to interview him in person and write about it. But I was able to do that. And then, of course, with Stephen King, of course, I would have asked for an interview. Who wouldn't, you know? He's the guy that wrote The Shining, you know, all work, no play, makes Jack a dull boy. You know what I mean, Wendy? You know, it's sad because I couldn't even tell you what Stephen King is writing right now, or his last book. But I don't think that really matters with a writer like that, with, you know, a history of having far well over 50 novels, that's some ranging between 1,500 to 2,000 pages. I think he has more than 50 novels, but you really can just start from the beginning and work your way up with Carrie, and just kind of go through. And, you know, all you got to do is read 5 or 6 of them to really do a good review of the writer. But people have read like 50 Stephen King novels, you know. It would be good to get back to reading, and then that leads to writing, and that's a whole different story. This is more like performance art with the iPhone 11. I'd probably go with a donut. So we got an ex-president indicted again. And that's not the first time either. Not for him particularly, but for an English major that might be watching. My goodness, again and again and again. Well, somebody should be indicted for all these gas prices. My goodness. That'll never happen. Now, Taylor Sheridan is probably one of our best writers since Arthur Miller. He really is an important writer, and he's really big in Hollywood. Now, he's working on 1883 and Yellowstone, but of course he did do Hell or High Water, and he also did Sicario, which I thought was one of the best films I saw that year. And Hell or High Water was good too. It got a lot of attention and got some Oscar nods, and Jeff Bridges was really good in it too. He's also a Pascal High School student, and so am I. But of course, Taylor, you know, he did it the Hollywood classicist way. I always say that I have a problem with that word, Hollywood classicism. What that means is, for the newbie that's to the show, it means that the person or the artist made a movie that Hollywood's been doing, like a form of movies. It's called Hollywood classicism, and it's because there's different gradation levels of major motion pictures. So you have the far left, which is the documentary, which is kind of like this a little bit. Then you have right in the middle, you got yourself Hollywood classicism. That's everything from Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Taylor Sheridan, just all the people that, John Ford, Alfred Hitchcock, they all made a movie that's kind of similar. There's credits, there's narration, there's dialogue, there's a script, there's lighting, there's a craft table. They all used Hollywood classicism to make that movie. Then you've got people like David Lynch on the far right that does what's called surrealism. And then somewhere in the mix is absurdism. And then way over there on the right, which you don't see a lot of, and David Lynch feels is missing, is what's called experimental. I know it's hard to hear me right here, which this does fall into. A vlog is experimental. So we're getting like advancing filmmaking and videography. Because for one thing, the train's gone right there. We don't know what we're doing, and we're just kind of pointing and shooting, so it becomes very experimental at times, but not completely, because if it was real experimental, it would be like all like, this and doing all that kind of stuff. But there is a sense of Hollywood classicism and documentary, absurdism and surrealism, as well as experimental, but there's different gradation levels. So you got documentary, Hollywood classicism, absurdism and surrealism, which is David Lynch and Fellini, and then you have experimental. So there's a chopper coming up this way. Can't really see it. And experimental, you don't always make out what exactly is going on, and it's just very like, craziness. But it's when the person's experimenting with the process of movie making. But anyway, I just said a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to be strong in the Lord, Ephesians 6 and 2. That's coming out of the St. Paul Lutheran Church and School. All right, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. But anyway, it really you get over your head really quick. So you got to be, tip-top shape, right, critter? Kitty. Okay, kitty. Hang on. Did you fall asleep, sweetie? Asleep again. She sleeps more than the cat. The cat's actually more awake sometimes. She doesn't. Cat sleeps 20 hours a day. The person could really. I don't know if they can keep up with the cat. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. I think we'll go with this one. And we're just gonna do half, kitty, because we did a full one. We'll do half of it. It's Sheba cuts gourmet salmon. So it's a form of salmon. I know, kitty, I know. Do about a half. Okay. Does that sound fun? Come on. And we'll trade this one out with that one. See if Kitty likes it. It's a cat food commercial too, Kitty. Yeah, Kitty does like it. Yep, Kitty approves. It's Kitty approved. So this right here, your cat will eat it up. Salmon. Sheba. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. 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 I'm making sure my kitty can play. I'm making sure that my kitty can play. I'm making sure. Gotta do it backwards. There we go. That's way over that way. I'm trying to make it go the other way, but in my mind, it's kind of like a trick of my mind. Here we go. It's way over there. Oh, there we go. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. It's over here. There we go. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. I'm making sure my kitty can play. I'm making sure my kitty's okay. I'm making sure that my kitty can play. And that song's called Making Sure My Kitty's Okay. Good night.